sometimes you run across a phrase or you think of a phrase that has special significance for you and just stays with you and stays with you. And that's one that has stayed with me for years. Living from the inside out. How do we live from the inside out? Because we tend to go through life receiving stimuli and then reacting to the stimuli. Oh, it's raining, I hate rain. Oh, there's traffic, I hate traffic. Or, oh, my brother's coming to visit, I love my brother. Or, oh, my brother's coming to visit. Oh, we wait for what happens in the world to decide where we are. And that's backward. So when we learn to live from the inside out, rather than looking for the stimuli and then reacting to it, we go within. We decide and we know and we hold the space for who we really are. Beings of love created in love. We hold the space for who we are. And then when we go out into the world knowing fully who we are and the stimuli come toward us, we are much less likely to be thrown off. We are much more likely to be able to stay in love. And that's what we want to do. We want to stay in love. We don't want to be out of love. We want to stay in love with all of our decisions, with our work, with the people and relationships in our lives. We do. Sometimes we don't want to. Sometimes we don't want to. Even if we say we do, sometimes we just don't. Sometimes we just don't. And part of it is that we are sort of programmed to think of our physical needs, our ego selves, our emotional needs, than we are to respond to what our spirits need. So part of it is just going within and spending some time with your own spirit, telling ego, thank you very much. You can go sit in the recliner for now. I'm going to be with my God self. I'm going to be with my higher self in this moment. And the physical stuff, you can just say, yeah, something hurts. Okay. It's part of being human. It can hurt for a little while. I'm hungry. Okay. I can eat later. We tend to think of each stimulus that comes toward us as really, really important because it's what is in our face at the moment. But rarely is it really important. Things are only life and death if they have life and death involved in them. Meaning somebody either lives or dies on what you do, on what you say. Very few decisions like that. Very few responses needed like that. And so we can. And that is about, so inside out, upside down. We want to live from the inside out. We want to live from the upside down, from our higher self into our bodies. Rather than from our bodies into, as soon as I get everything arranged in my life, as soon as I get the job that I want, as soon as my husband stops acting like a jerk, as soon as we raise enough money for whatever, then I'll be happy and I'll be so spiritual. Because I'll be so full of love. And it doesn't work that way. Because you know what? Your husband starts being a jerk, your brother starts being a jerk. There's always going to be a jerk. You're lucky if there's only one. There's always going to be somebody acting like a jerk. And you know what? They're acting from their ego. They want to be in love too, but they're responding to outside conditions. And so we can have compassion for that. And we can also say, you know what? I have enough compassion for myself, enough love and respect for myself, that I don't have to respond to that. Someone throws a rope at me and wants to play tug of war. If I don't pick up the other end, there's no tug of war. It's just some jerk holding a rope. We get to decide. We get to decide. I've quoted this before, but Gandhi said, and I think it's so profound, the first act of war is not the person who makes the first shot. The first act of war is the response to that shot. It's the second shot. One shot is not a war. It's just a jerk holding a rope. Shoot back, now you got a battle on. And whether that's words, or Facebook posts, or whatever. We don't have to pick up the other end of the rope. When we live from the outside in, we are the victims. All the stuff is happening to me. Of course I'm miserable. Of course I'm cranky. Of course, I mean, in my house, there's like a thing. If I start getting really, really cranky, my husband will say, "Have you eaten?" Let's feed her. It's fixing to get bad. Let's feed her. Of course I'm cranky. I'm hungry. Of course I'm cranky. I'm uncomfortable right now. I don't even know why, but I am. So I'm going to take it out on you. But I have another choice. Now I'm here to tell you, I don't always make the other choice. I don't always make the choice for love. But I try to bring my awareness into ordinary situations so that I have the possibility of making that choice for love. As that translation says, do not let us be seduced by that which will divert us from our true purpose, but illuminate the opportunities of the present moment. Every present moment carries with it an opportunity to give love. And if you are not feeling love in a situation, then give love to it. Don't stand around waiting for someone else to give it to you. Give love to it. In our victim consciousness, we think we have to have something so we can be somebody. And then when we can be somebody, then we can do charitable works. Then we can love people from our lofty place. And it doesn't work. We think when we get what we need, then we can do right and be better. We're already good enough.
Right on.
Amen.
We're already good enough. Everything we need is already inside of us. Everything you need to live a life of love and joy is already inside of you. We have to make the choice for it, though. So that's outside in. Half measures, that's where I always was. The little controller girl. I'm going to do everything right. I'm going to do everything right. And then I'll be good enough to have some things. And if I didn't have some things, I thought I just haven't been good enough yet. Try harder. I'm already being as good as I can be. My mother used to say, "Y'all behave." And I would say, "I'm being as have as I can." Being as have as I can. Trying harder. Inside out means we be. We are who we are. We know that. And then we don't have to do, because the doing comes from that place of knowing who we are, from that place of love. When we are in love with ourselves and in love with the world, then we naturally, without thinking, and not from some lofty place of "let me help you," because you're not as lofty as I am, but from a genuine place of absolute love, then we do. And the have just comes. We don't have to worry about the have. That's our daily bread. That's our daily bread. When we stay in that love, we are given what we need. We have what we need. So inside out. Inside out. And then we accept and receive the gifts that are already available to us, but we can't see them when we are in, everybody's against me. Or, I just have to do it right, I have to do it right, I have to do it right. How many raise your hand if you've ever received a gift card and carried it in your wallet for more than a year. What's holding you back? Sometimes we think we want stuff, but we're not very good at receiving it. We're not very good at receiving it because somewhere, perhaps, inside of us is a thing that says, well, I'm going to save that for good. You know, there'll be a time when I need it more than I need it now. Or I need to use it for something special. Well, I'm here to tell you, you are the something special. Amen. Accept the gifts. Accept every gift. Be aware that there are gifts coming at you all the time. Notice them and accept them. And you will give them in return without even thinking. A smile from someone you pass on the street is a gift if you receive it. If you receive it, it's a gift. If you don't receive it, it's just something that happened. We allow the gifts. We receive the gifts. We open to the gifts. And then we live in the gift. So inside out, upside down. We tend to live also downside up. Once I get my ego satisfied, then I can be peaceful. Right? Once I get the job that I think I deserve, then I can be nice to all of my fellow employees. Or once I am able to, when I have developed my skill to the point where I'm better, then, see what I mean? That ego wants to tell us, and then I can go to a lofty place. No, it never, ever, ever works that way. But ego is not a bad thing. I think in the past few years with a lot of New Thought books and Buddhist books that talk about getting rid of the ego, it's not about the ego is bad. The ego is part and parcel of having a human body on this human earth. But what we know is that we are not just our bodies. We are spirits who are inhabiting these bodies for a time, and the ego helps us do that. It helps us feed ourselves as we feed others. It helps us get our place in line. It helps us. It's not a bad servant. It's a horrible master. I gotta get mine, me first. My country first. My needs first. Everybody else, fend for yourselves. But when we say, Spirit is my guide, then the ego can serve it. The ego can say to Spirit, what is it that you need to sustain this human body and this human life? And then we get it. Those gifts come. Those gifts come. So instead of downside up, that when our egos are satisfied, we can begin to feel these lofty feelings. It's upside down. On earth as it is in heaven. That means everything good already exists in this heavenly realm, and it is our job to bring it to earth. It's our job to bring it down to earth. Upside down. Let your will come true in the universe, all that vibrates, just as on earth that is material and dense. That's another translation of on earth as it is in heaven. So, although I don't like the words right and wrong, or good and bad, because we're all good. Sometimes our actions, maybe not so much, but we're all good at our depth. And if we can believe that, then we can believe it of other people too. And our inability to see it in others, I'm telling you right now, is because of our inability to truly see it, experience, and believe it in ourselves. So, how can you show compassion to yourself today? How can you show love to yourself today? I don't mean feed your ego desires. Going to get a donut is not necessarily showing love, right? How can you love yourself today? What is, just asking the question brings us to a new awareness, which allows us to make decisions consciously rather than unconsciously. Because when we're making decisions unconsciously, they are often from ego. It takes a lot of practice to be able to do something unconsciously that you want to do. 10,000 hours. That's how Kent got to be an amazing pianist. He spent more than 10,000 hours practicing the piano. Now he doesn't have to think about it much. It comes out. So you can go, oh, that's easy. No, it isn't. But it has become so much a part of him that it is now almost an unconscious function. Sometimes, I don't know if this is true for you, but sometimes you're playing something and you know it so well, and then you start thinking what chord is next, and suddenly you don't know what chord is next. Because I need to not be. So that is my goal. That is my goal, is to be loving, is to practice being loving and the choice for love often enough, over and over again, that I start to live unconsciously in love. I start to do the loving thing without having to convince myself first, without having to ask the question. But asking the question is the first step. I got a choice here. Stand in line at the grocery store. I can be mad, I can be miserable, or I can decide that this is an opportunity. What is the opportunity here? Maybe it's an opportunity for me to stop my rushing for a moment and take a deep breath. Maybe it's an opportunity for me to look around me and see all the babies in the grocery store and just enjoy their beauty and their innocence. Maybe it's an opportunity to look at how hairy the cashier is and know that as uncomfortable as I am having to stand in line, she's been standing there all day with uncomfortable people who've been standing in line too long. Maybe it's an opportunity for me to give some love to her. And you cannot, love is the thing that when you give it away, you end up with more. You cannot. You are never devoid of love. You never have less love because you gave it somewhere. You have more love when you give it somewhere. It's magic. It's magic. It is. So what are those opportunities? So I just had a long explanation why I don't believe in right or wrong. We're all on a continuum. We're all on a journey. We're all learning. And the journey is the destination. We're not trying to get to this place where we're perfect. We are here to fully engage with where we are at every moment. Fully engage with where I am today. Not in regret that I wasn't better yesterday. You know, Maya Angelou says, when you know better, you do better. So don't spend any time in unforgiveness of the you that didn't know better. Let it go, and that makes you available to this moment, this opportunity, to perhaps do something different. So, to live right, I'm just making a little acronym out of this. Remember who you are. When you wake up in the morning, before you get out of bed, I urge you to take a moment, instead of going, oh God, I have all this stuff to do today, what am I going to do? To just breathe in and remember, oh, I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. I don't have to let the workload of my human world or the disappointments of my human world bring me down, because I am other than that. I inhabit this body, that I am not this body. I remember who I am. I'm a being of absolute love. Say that with me. I'm a being of absolute love. Together. I am a being of absolute love. So remember. First thing in the morning, remember and say it. Say that affirmation. If you can't remember, post it on your mirror. I'm a being of absolute love. Oh yeah, I forgot. I'm a being of absolute love. Because we do forget. That's what life is. It's remembering and forgetting, remembering and forgetting. But we remember more and more and more the more we practice remembering. And the more we're around other people who remind us of who we are. That is the blessing of community. Do we need church? Well, you can watch church on TV. You can watch church on your phone. You can watch church on your iPad. You don't have to come to church. Why do we come to church? Because I'm here to remind you of the truth of who you are, and you are here to remind me of the truth of who I am. We remind each other. That's what a spiritual community is. And when one really can't remember, there are many to lift up that one. And when one really remembers, they can lift up many around them. That's how it works. That's what spiritual community is. So remember who you are. Remembrance is the first. Second, intention. Set your intention. What kind of day do you want to have? Do you want to just wait and see what happens and then just react to it with whatever you're feeling at the moment? Or do you want to say, you know what? I know I have a really busy day, but what I want, my intention for today is to take it one step at a time, not freak out, not get into what my husband calls a frizz. He used to say, oh, Mom's in a frizz, because yeah, I get in a frizz. Oh, I've got so many things to do. And then I start dropping things and messing things up. I set an intention and say, no, there is enough time for me to do whatever is mine to do today. If there's not enough time to do it, it wasn't mine to do, or today wasn't the day to do it. And so we start to be able to live from what we know with that intention that comes from remembering. And then grace. To me, this is the greatest gift. We don't have to do it all ourselves. There is love that is present for us at all times. There is grace. We can surrender to it. We can say, whew, I'm about to have a real bad day. Love, grace, I allow you to come in and change my mind. Come in and change my mind. Love, change my mind. Love, change my mind. Try that. Depend on grace, and that will bring you holiness. And by holiness, I don't mean churchiness or religiosity. Holiness, at its root, means wholeness. It means nothing is missing. It means all the parts that are supposed to be together are together to make it beautiful, whole. Holiness. And when you do that, you are living in truth. That's how to live right. Remembrance, intention, grace, holiness, wholeness, health, heaven, harmony. Whatever word you want to use for wholeness. And then truth. And we can trust in that. We're in the truth. We're in the truth of who we are, which is what we're trying to remember. So that brings us back around to our remembrance. It's a beautiful circle for our good. You all know what it's like to get on the wheel going in the opposite direction. There's a Willie Nelson song that cracks me up. It starts, postman delivered, past due, bill notice. The alarm clock rang 2 hours late. The garbage man left all the trash on the sidewalk and the hinges fell off of our gate. And this morning at breakfast I spilled all the coffee and I opened the door on my knee. You ever have a day like that? You get to turn, you can get into that and it's almost a point of pride. Oh, and you know what else happened? Then I got in my car, and then the traffic, and then no one ever had as bad a day as me, because that's what ego does. Ego doesn't just go, no one's as good as I am. Ego also says, no one sucks as bad as I do. We're not the best, we're not the worst, we're all there in between. There's no ladder that we're climbing. There's no ladder that we're climbing. We're moving around through life trying to remember who we truly are. So I want to close this with another translation of the Lord's Prayer. O thou, from whom the breath of life comes, who fills all realms of sound, light, and vibration, may your light be experienced in my utmost holiest. Your heavenly domain approaches. Let your will come true in the universe, in all that vibrates, just as on earth, in that which is material and dense. Give us wisdom, understanding, assistance for our daily need. That's the grace, y'all. Let us not be lost in superficial things, materialism, common temptations, the things that divert us from our purpose. But let us be free from that which keeps us off from our true purpose. Let us be free of that. From you comes the all-working will, the lively strength to act, the song that beautifies all and renews itself from age to age. Amen. Sealed in trust, faith, and truth. Thank you. Namaste. So we're just going to take a few moments in meditation to bring that truth deeply into our hearts. comfortable in your seat so that the signs from your body are comforted as much as they can be. And simply breathe. The breath is just like everything else in life. In, out, and an eternal flow. If we breathe only in, we're dead. If we breathe only out, we cannot sustain life. In and out. Both and. And so in this moment, we simply appreciate that breath. Thank you. Divine presence, holiness, whatever that great mystery is, thank you for this breath that fills me. When I focus on my breath, I become present to the moment that I'm in. And when I'm present to this moment, when I am in my right mind, when I'm communing with my spirit, I remember who I am. And when I remember who I am, there's a big exhale. Oh yeah, I forgot. I thought I was just this person who was always messing up and has this endless to-do list that never gets done. No, that's not who I am. I remember. And so I set my intention to live from that remembrance. Today I want to remember rather than forget. And when I forget, I want to remember again as soon as possible. That is my intention, and I call upon grace to help me fulfill that intention. I surrender to a process of love that is already going on in the universe, that is a vibrating energy that fills me, that I have access to at all times, but I have to allow it. I have to receive it. I'm calling it grace. You may call it something else. I surrender and I receive. And in that surrendering, I know my wholeness. I live from a more heavenly place, and I bring that heaven down into earth instead of trying and struggling to get my earthly self somehow a little bit higher. And I trust that when I am in love, when I am surrendered to love, when I have set an intention for love, when I remember love is who I am, I can trust that I am living the truth of my purpose here. And I breathe in again, knowing that my purpose here is not to be perfect. I am already perfect in spirit, and I will never be perfect in body and ego. So I just let go of that. I accept who I already am. I remember. And then I give from that place. And I receive from that place. And I am whole in the truth.